In the quiet village of Umuakpara, there was a name that women whispered with fear and men mentioned with caution: Neka, the Iron Woman. She was not iron because of size or strength. No, it was her heart that carried the weight of steel, her tongue that cut sharper than a blacksmith's blade, and her rules that no one in her family ever dared to break. For over 30 years, Neka ruled her home like a queen whose crown no one voted for, but everyone feared. She lived in a large compound with 3 grown sons: Chabik, Obina, and Samto. All 3 were strong men, hardworking, respected in the community. But when they stepped into their mother's compound, their shoulders dropped, their voices reduced, and their confidence vanished. Because in that compound, Neka's word was law. Every villager knew the story: how she chased away the first wife Chabik brought home because the girl did not kneel properly. How Obina's wife lasted only 2 months because she put too much salt in her soup. And how Samto's quiet wife from the next village ran away at midnight with only her wrapper tied across her chest, crying that she could no longer breathe under Neka's rules. No woman survived in that house. None. Neka believed that daughters-in-law were born to serve, not to speak, to obey, not to question, and most importantly, to remain powerless. The moment a wife gains confidence, she always said, she begins to misbehave. So she created a system that crushed confidence before it had the chance to grow. Every new wife her sons brought home must first pass Neka's examinations, a series of humiliations that she called tests of humility. If a woman failed, she was automatically rejected. The tests included waking at 4 a.m. to sweep the wide compound, cooking a meal large enough to feed a small crowd without burning anything, washing Neka's clothes by hand even if 10 wrappers waited in the basin, greeting while kneeling long enough for her knees to ache, and most importantly, never talking back even when insulted. No one passed the exams, and Neka was proud of that. Her sons did not marry for love. They tried. They brought women home, but all were chased away. Years passed, and the brothers remained in their mother's compound, still under her wings like boys who never fully became men. What made her power stronger was financial control. Every month, when salaries were paid, the 3 men would return home and place their envelopes in their mother's hands. She would count the money carefully, write each amount in a brown notebook, and decide how much each son could spend. Even then, they needed her permission before using a single naira. Before Obina bought slippers, he asked her. Before Samto went to the barber, he asked her. Before Chabik paid his phone bill, he asked her. The villagers pitted the brothers but didn't interfere. Everyone feared Neka's sharp tongue. It was said that even the village elders avoided crossing her path during meetings because she always had a comeback waiting like a loaded catapult. And so, life continued in that compound. Neka woke before dawn every day, tied her wrapper tightly across her chest, and walked around the compound, inspecting everything her sons did. If she found a broom out of place, she complained. If a pot was not turned upside down, she scolded. If a man forgot to fold his clothes, she shouted until the entire neighborhood heard. She was untouchable, unmovable, unquestionable, until the day Chabik announced he had found a new wife. It happened on a Wednesday afternoon. Neka was sitting on a wooden bench in the shade of the mango tree, counting dried crayfish into a container. She liked things arranged neatly. She believed disorder led to disrespect. Chabik cleared his throat as he approached her. His voice shook slightly as always. "Mama, I have something to tell you." Neka didn't look up. "Talk. I'm listening." Chabik swallowed hard. "I have chosen someone." Now she looked up. "Someone? Meaning a woman?" "Yes, Mama." Neka narrowed her eyes. "Where is she from?" "From a Maif village." "That one that cooks with too much pepper?" She snapped. "No, Mama. Someone else." Neka returned her attention to her crayfish. "Bring her here. Let me see if she is marriage material." Chabik hesitated. "Mama, we have already done the introduction." Neka froze. Her hand paused in midair. Slowly, she turned to face him fully. "You did what?" Chabik took a small step back. We already introduced families." "Mama, you were traveling that week. So you think that because I traveled, you can make decisions without me?" Her voice rose. Have you forgotten this is my house? Have you forgotten that without my approval you are still a boy? Mama, quiet. She snapped. Obina and Samto rushed outside from their rooms. They stood silently, knowing once again their elder brother had stepped on a landmine. Neka stood up from the bench, tied her wrapper tighter, and glared at Chabik from head to toe. Go and bring her. Let me examine her. If she fails, she goes back to her parents. And if she talks too much, she will go the same day. Chabik nodded weakly, but his mother wasn't finished. And listen well, I don't care how beautiful, educated, or respectful she looks. If she tries to challenge me, she will leave this compound faster than thunder strikes. She sat down again, her chin raised high. Bring her, she repeated. And that was the moment it became clear. Another battle was about to begin. But what Neka did not know was that the woman coming into her house, Adan, was not like the others. She was gentle, yes. Respectful, yes. But she carried something none of the former wives had. A quiet strength. A strength that would change everything. The sun hung low over Umuakpura village when Adan stepped into the compound that would soon test every part of her patience and strength. She was dressed in a soft lemon-colored lace wrapper, her hair neatly packed into a modest bun, her steps graceful but firm. She carried a small bag in one hand and a calm smile on her lips. Behind her, Chabik walked nervously, glancing at her every few seconds as if trying to warn her of something he didn't know how to say. The compound was large, too large for the quietness inside it. It felt like a place where laughter once lived, but slowly died, leaving only instructions and fear behind. Chickens pecked around the corners. The breeze carried the smell of palm oil and firewood, and the walls bore the marks of years of strict supervision. From the veranda, Neka watched them. Her eyes, sharp and cold, missed nothing. She sat with her legs slightly apart, her chin resting on her knuckles, the posture of a judge about to deliver a sentence. Obina and Samto stood behind her like witnesses in a court, silent, stiff, unsure. Adan stopped when she reached the threshold. She bent slightly, giving a warm smile. Mama, good afternoon. Neka didn't respond. She looked Adan up and down, slowly, calculatingly, like a trader inspecting a goat before buying. After a long, uncomfortable pause, she spoke. So, this is the girl? Chabik cleared his throat. Yes, Mama. This is Adan. Neka hissed quietly. She is taller than I expected. Adan maintained her gentle smile. I greet you, Mama. Still no reply. Chabik nudged his mother lightly. Mama, she is talking to you. I heard her, Neka snapped. The silence that followed was heavy. Birds chirped above the compound, unaware of the tension below. Finally, Neka stood up. She smoothed her wrapper, locked her arms behind her, and gave Adan the kind of look that stripped a person bare. So, you're the one that thinks she is good enough to enter my home? Adan blinked once, but held her ground. I only hope to be a good wife to your son, Mama. Neka tilted her head. We shall see. Chabik felt sweat gathering on his forehead. Mama, can we take her things inside? No, Neka cut him off. Her things will stay outside. For now. Adan lowered her eyes briefly, not out of fear, but respect. As you wish, Mama. Neka's lips tightened. She was expecting panic or tears. She got neither. Instead, Adan remained calm, composed, polite. And that unsettled her. She turned to her sons. Go inside. All of you. The men shuffled away, leaving Adan standing alone with Neka. The older woman moved closer until they were only a step apart. Listen to me carefully, she said, her voice low but piercing. This house runs on my rules. Not your rules. Not Chabik's rules. My rules. Whatever I say, you do. Whatever I want, you give. If you fail, the road back to your father's house is not far. Adan nodded gently. I understand, Mama. No, you do not understand yet. But you will. Neka walked around her slowly, like a hawk circling prey. Do you know how many wives have entered this compound before you? No, Mama. 7. Adan's eyes widened slightly. 7? Neka smiled wickedly. None of them stayed. Do you know why? Adan shook her head. Because they were not humble. They came here with their own ideas, their own opinions, their own big heads. She clicked her tongue. A woman who wants peace must first know her place. Adan inhaled quietly, steadying herself. Every home is different, Mama. I am ready to learn. Again, the girl gave the wrong answer. Wrong for Neka. She expected trembling. She got courage wrapped in softness. For the first time in a long time, Neka felt something new, a small spark of irritation mixed with curiosity. She walked back to the veranda and sat down. Come and sit. Adan moved closer and sat on the low wooden stool placed opposite her. Neka leaned back. Tell me, what do your parents do? My father is a retired teacher. My mother is a seamstress. So you people are not rich? We live comfortably, Mama. Neka smirked. Comfortable, in your mouth, means poor. Adan bowed her head slightly, refusing to rise to the bait. The quietness stretched until Neka spoke again. Stand up. Adan rose. Turn around. She turned. Walk. She walked. Stop. She stopped. Neka narrowed her eyes. You carry yourself like someone who thinks she knows something. I hope for your sake it is not stubbornness. Adan smiled gently. No, Mama. I only carry myself with respect. Neka gave a short, humorless laugh. Respect? In this house, respect is defined by me. You will learn that. She folded her arms. Now listen well. Tomorrow morning, we begin your examinations. If you pass, you stay. If you fail, you pack your things and leave. Adan felt her chest tighten for the first time. What kind of examinations, Mama? Neka's eyes narrowed. The kind that shows the true heart of a wife. She raised a finger and began counting. Number 1. You will sweep this entire compound before the sun begins to rise. Adan nodded. Number 2. You will cook breakfast for everyone. I like soft yam, not hard yam. You will get it right. Another nod. Number 3. You will wash all my clothes. And do not stretch them. If you stretch them, you fail. Yes, Mama. Number 4. When you greet me, you will greet properly. Kneeling. Back straight. Hands together. Yes, Mama. And number 5. Neka paused for effect. That you will not argue with me over anything. Not even once. Adan's eyes softened. I understand. Neka stared at her long, trying to find a crack, a weakness, any sign of distress. But all she saw was calmness. Too much calmness. She clicked her tongue. Go and sit with your husband. Enjoy peace for today. Tomorrow, your true journey begins. As Adan walked away, Neka watched her closely. She didn't know why, but something about this one bothered her. Something she couldn't name yet. Maybe it was the quiet confidence. Maybe it was the respectful firmness. Or maybe it was the simple fact that Adan didn't bend under pressure the way the others did. Whatever it was, Neka felt it rising in her chest like a warning. This one might not break easily, and that thought alone irritated her more than anything. Before dawn, when the sky still held the quiet darkness of night, Adan woke to the sound of a cock crowing somewhere far away. She blinked her eyes open slowly, letting her mind add just to her new reality. Today was the day Neka's examinations would begin. The same examinations that had chased 7 women out of the compound. Shabik slept beside her, breathing softly. She watched him for a moment. He looked peaceful, innocent even, but she knew the truth. His peace depended on his mother's approval. Everything about his life revolved around Neka. His choices, his voice, even his fears. Quietly, she rose from the bed. She didn't want to disturb him. She wrapped her wrapper around her waist, tied her scarf, and stepped out into the cold morning. The compound was silent. The sky carried a faint hint of blue, preparing for sunrise. The air smelled of dew, wet earth, and the familiar smoke from last night's cooking fire. Adan held the broom tightly, inhaling deeply to steady her nerves. She was ready, or at least she hoped she was. She approached the wide compound and began sweeping. It was larger than most compounds. Neka had ensured that. Every corner had its own responsibility. Every surface had its standard. Adan swept carefully, pushing away leaves, dust, and small stones. Her arms moved steadily, her breath steady, her mind focused. She wanted to do well, not because she feared Neka, but because she wanted peace. Halfway through the sweeping, She heard a door creak behind her. She turned her head slightly and saw Neka emerging from her room. It was barely 5 a.m., yet Neka was fully awake, wrapper tied tight, eyes sharp, as if she had been standing behind the door waiting for this moment. Neka murmured. You are early. Yes, Mama, Adan replied calmly. Neka walked toward her with slow, deliberate steps. You sweep from here? Yes, Mama. She glanced around the compound. You missed that corner. Adan turned, saw a single fallen leaf by the mango tree, and nodded. I will get it, Mama. Neka's lips twitched with irritation. Most wives would panic, rush, stutter, apologize endlessly. But Adan simply acknowledged and continued. There was no fear in her voice. You sweep too slow, Neka added. If the sun rises and you are still sweeping, you have failed. I understand, Mama. Neka frowned. You understand too much. She folded her arms. Finish quickly. She turned and walked back inside, leaving Adan with the broom and her thoughts. Instead of rushing blindly and scattering the dirt everywhere, Adan picked up her pace but kept her movements neat. She knew that mistakes born of panic would only make things worse. So she worked faster, but not foolishly. When she finished, the sun had barely risen. She stood back and looked around the compound. It was clean. Not perfect, but clean enough for any reasonable woman. But Neka was not any reasonable woman. The door opened again. This time, all three sons came out behind their mother. They stood quietly, their eyes fixed on Adan as if watching a ceremony. Neka walked slowly, inspecting every inch of the compound. She bent down to pick up a tiny piece of dried leaf. What is this? She asked. A leaf, Mama, Adan said calmly. A leaf? In my compound? After sweeping? Adan remained still. You think sweeping means pushing dirt to the side? Neka asked, raising her voice slightly. No, Mama. You think because you woke early, you have done something? One leaf is enough to fail you. Adan lowered her eyes respectfully. I will remove it, Mama. Again, no panic, no fear, no tears, just calm resolve. Neka didn't like it. She clicked her tongue and stormed toward the kitchen. Go and cook breakfast before the guests arrive. Which guests, Mama? Chabik asked cautiously. Neka shot him a sharp look. Do you need to know everything? Go inside. He shrank back immediately. Adan followed her to the kitchen. The firewood stove was cold. The pots were stacked neatly. The yam tubers sat on the table, heavy and rough-skinned. Neka didn't sit. She hovered. You will cook white yam, she instructed. Soft, not mushy. I don't like salt. Add too much and you fail. Yes, Mama. And the stew, make it light. I don't like pepper. Yes, Mama. And fry eggs too, but not too oily. Yes, Mama. And don't forget to slice onions properly. I don't like big pieces. Yes, Mama. Neka narrowed her eyes. You are too calm. It annoys me. Adan smiled gently. I only want to do things well, Mama. Neka sniffed. We shall see. Adan began peeling the yam. Her hands moved smoothly. She cooked often at home, helping her mother in the kitchen, managing the household without complaint. Hard work was not new to her. She placed the yam on the fire, started the stew, fried the eggs, and moved between tasks with quiet efficiency. Chabik peeked in twice, wanting to help but too scared to interfere. The sons knew the rules. No one helps a wife during her examination. Neka kept watching. Half an hour later, the aroma filled the compound. The yam softened perfectly. The stew simmered gently. The eggs looked golden and neat. Adan arranged everything on a tray and carried it out. Serve me, Neka ordered, sitting on her low stool like a judge waiting for the verdict. Adan placed the tray gently before her, opened the plates, arranged the cutlery, and stepped back respectfully. Neka tasted the yam first. She chewed slowly, her face expressionless. She dipped her spoon into the stew, tasted it. Her children held their breath. Then she took a small piece of the fried egg, chewed again. Silence. Finally, she swallowed and placed her hand on her thigh. It is acceptable. Chabik exhaled loudly. Obina's shoulders relaxed. Santo almost smiled, but Neka wasn't finished. You passed the cooking, she said. Barely. Adan bowed her head. But the examination is not over. After breakfast, you will wash my clothes. and I have added extra wrappers. Adan nodded. Yes, Mama. Neka leaned back, watching her closely. Most wives came into her house, shaking like leaves. This one came in like a quiet river. Still, steady, calm. And that calmness unsettled her. You should fear me, Neka said suddenly, her voice sharp. Adan looked up gently. Fear does not build a home, Mama. Neka's eyes widened slightly. What did you say? I said fear does not build a home. Respect does. Neka stared at her long, her mouth slightly open. For the first time since morning, she was speechless. And that was when she realized she was not just examining Adan. Adan was examining her too.